2 minutes. Yes?
All right.
Can you hear us well? See?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Good.
I also see and hear you well.
The pleasure.
So I think 1 minute left. Do we have to check something? Сейчас. So I think we can get started now. Well, while we are waiting a little bit for everyone to connect, I will make the topic. So today we are talking about jamming and anti-jamming function in our trackers. And today we have here with us our special guest, Patrick Lobo from Cameroon, who represents the company Camtrack. Hello, Patrick, one more time.
Hello.
So, and I'm here with Dima, our technical support. So, as always, and I think we can get started. And Dima, please open our presentation.
Sure.
So we will start basically about the basic information. What is jamming in general? How does it work? And where and for what purposes it can be used. So GPS jamming is the process of using of frequency transmitting device which blocks or interfere with radio communications. Types of communications that can be jammed includes phone calls, text messages, GPS systems, and Wi-Fi networks. Well, GPS jammers were initially developed by the military to misguide their enemies about their geographical locations and targets. Then, a little bit later, these devices, jamming devices, were adapted for non-military people, for customers that simply wanted to ensure their privacy or prevent tracking. Well, however, without proper technical knowledge or when placed into wrong hands, GPS jammers can cause potentially damaging disruptions in communications. So, yes, how does jamming work? Jamming occurs when a device emits radio signal at the same frequency as the GPS-enabled device. This causes the GPS device to be unable to determine its position and can also prevent this GPS device from establishing and maintaining its connection with the server. So the GPS jammer itself is typically a small self-contained frequency transmitter that can send an interference signal within 5 to 10 meters. The device typically plugs into a cigarette lighter of a car or USB or charging port and require a low amount of power. So although these devices, jamming devices, are illegal in most countries, in most places, still GPS jammers can be purchased online, and they come in various types. There are, for example, Wi-Fi or Bluetooth jammers, remote control jammers, or even drone jammers. So really a lot of different types. So This is the basic principle of how JAMAs work, and well, where can they be used? Can you please show me the presentation? Thank you. So they can be used for hiding, changing, or obscuring positional signals from GPS units, as I have already mentioned. Also, it can inhibit a mobile device from being able to receive calls, text messages, or emails. It also can block Wi-Fi enabled devices so they can't successfully connect to the internet no more. And it also can conceal the location of a device or vehicle, for example. These are basic so cases of JAMAs using. Today, we will speak more about, of course, hiding and changing GPS signals in cars and everything that's connected to GPS devices. Well, now I'd like to give the floor to Patrick. Patrick will tell us, I think, about the situation in Cameroon, so about which types of JAMAs you use, or maybe some cases he will share with us. So Patrick, please tell us about jamming in Cameroon.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Patrick Labu. I'm from Cameroon, and I'm a key account supervisor in Camtrack. So it's a pleasure for me to intervene about this main topic, which is card jamming. I'll briefly present my company, if you don't mind. Actually, my company is, the name is Camtrack, and it's located in Cameroon. We have about 14,000 units connected. Okay, I must say that the problem of signal jamming is more relevant than ever. And I'm going to share with you people what we are facing, particularly in our country, as far as car tracking is concerned. First, I would like to mention that the main car using in our country is Toyota, and it's also the main stolen car. So now I'll go straight to the point. We have 3 serious problems. The first one is the speed with which thieves detect the GPS device in the vehicle, and they succeed in disconnecting the device while the vehicle is moving, and they quickly identify the position of the device in the vehicle. So these are the 3 main problems that we are facing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all you wanted to say?
Yeah, actually for now, that is all for now.
Okay, such a short presentation, but still important to us. Well, I think that we can show how the device really works, real time. So to make it more so illustrative, we will show, we have here a jamming device that can really block the signal, and Dima has prepared a system to show you, because we also have here with us our trackers, and we will now talk about anti-jamming, and Dima will explain what we mean by saying anti-jamming and how does it all work.
Yes. First of all, I think I should notice that anti-jamming function is not really and fully about to prevent jamming, because there are so many ways of how to conduct it. So we cannot be sure that we are fully able to prevent and to protect the device from any of them. So basically, first of all, the first thing we should make and we should equip our tracking devices is opportunity to detect the jamming, the signal jamming, or signal, for example, spoofing. When we are talking about our most modern devices, about latest models, ADM 07 and ADM 333, both of them have jamming GPS jamming detection functionality, and it is not only about to detect jamming. It also may, for example, detect spoofing or signal retransmission. For example, I think I can tell you a story of our Russian client. He's from Ural, also from the region Udmurtia. He met a problem like the device stays on one place for almost 1 week, and that's very different cases may happen, so that's actually fine. But when he decided to check the fuel level, he saw that fuel level is constantly flowing down. It's there are fuel thefts, looks like fuel thefts, but how can it be happen that the device is staying in the park, and there are some there are some fuel thefts. We updated the firmware of this device and found out that there is a spoofing accident. Drivers or maybe some other peoples decided to replace the original GPS signal with the emulated one. They recorded some data they recorded the GPS data when the tracking device was in the park, and just started to transmit it again and again. So the device thought that it is in the same place, but the car was moving around the whole region. So yes, this is one very interesting case, at least as for me. And the second one is connected with strong, direct, and very usual case of jamming. Yeah, just direct jamming of satellite signal. I think we can try to connect the device, the jamming device. At the moment, you can see that the tracker, it's ADM 333, is located here in our office, and detects 7 satellites. So, 2 GONASS and 5 3 GONASS and 5 GPS. So right now I will stop the screen sharing, so you will be able to see it clearly. Connect the device. Yeah, you can see the green light is on. And come back to the screen sharing, and yes, there is no satellite signal. Now, how can we understand that there are no malfunctions, there are no just some situations where the device just unable to detect the signal? How can we understand that we meet jamming in this specific situation? Device status will tell us about it. So we can check it with our ADM configurator, our PC version of the configurator, just with this button, or we can check it via the SMS or GPRS. I'll show you how we can make it via the VLAN. Yes, this is the same device configured to the VLAN, and we update the data. Yes, you can see that we detected, the tracking device detected some coordinates, longitude, latitude, and
every 10 seconds.
Yes, every 10 seconds, exactly.
We can't see anything.
Yes, we can see anything, but we can see device status. You can see that it changed from this value to this value. Next steps actually are pretty simple, and we talked about them already before, but I think I can show you one more time to make it clear, to make it fully understandable. First of all, in case of while on, we need to make some additional calculations, so we will go back to the configurator. We can see that the status is this 0660. We open just default Windows calculator, set the programmer mode, and choose hexadecimal as the basic system. Now we put the same value 0660 and turn it to the binary. Yes, you can see binary array here and here. This one actually is even more simple and understandable, at least for me. What does this array mean? These zeros and yes, these zeros and the one digits marks some specific events, some statuses of the device. In our case, we know that bytes number 9 and number 10 are responsible for jamming detection, for jamming demonstration. And we can start to count from 0. It's very important to count from 0. From 0 to 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can see that 9th and 10th bits are marked with 1. That means that the tracking device detected signal interference and signal jamming. If, for instance, we didn't have this one and only have had 9th bit marked with 1, it will lead us only to signal interference. For example, if we are talking about spoofing or signal retransmission. This is very, at least I hope so, very simple and very logical steps about how to understand with ADM devices that there is some jamming detection or not. Also, I think I should make some stress on it, that this functionality allows us to divide cases when there is jamming detection, when there is just no satellite signal, or when there is some malfunction. For instance, damaged GPS antenna or the internal model of the device. And also, Patrick said us about cases when thieves or drivers just do not want to be detected, to be traced, and just pull out the tracking device, or at least jam it. In this case, I think we can use, and we are developing such design at the moment, our tracking device and our wireless relay. Maybe you heard about it, maybe not. We have wireless Bluetooth Low Energy relay that may cause some electric circuit cut. for instance, ignition, engine control, fuel pump, cut, and stuff like that. So basically, if the if thief will pull out the tracking device, this wireless relay will detect that there is no signal from this controlling unit, from this tracking device. So it will automatically trigger the engine cut. And the very same works for the jamming situation. If tracking device detects strong and very tough jamming, it also may be configured to cut the engine, to block the engine, to set any alarm if there is a GSM signal. Because for sure, you know that there is not only GPS jammers, but there are also GSM jammers. There are just, you know, some very big and very chaotic in some sense jammers that will broadcast any signal in any band and make it unable to work with the GSM, GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and everything. So yes, we are trying to detect these events. We are trying to develop the system that will help anyone to avoid them, to feel safe about their fleet, their cars, and so on. And I hope that our demonstration, that our webinar today may show you that it's possible and demonstrate some important moment, how does it work, how we can prevent these events. And I see there is some question and Q&A section.
Wanted to add something.
Yes, from Joshua. What's most common, GPS or GSM signal jamming? In my experience, Joshua, it's for sure GPS, because it's, first of all, it's just simply to cut, because when we are talking about casual tracking device, it works within GNSS band L1. Yes, L1. So it's just more narrow bands than when we are talking about the GSM1. There are two of them, and in case of GSM, there are four basic. And if we're talking about 2G devices, for sure, four basic bands. So it's just simpler to jam the GPS. And also thieves and drivers, they are not trying to jam their own cell phones, for instance, because GSM jammers will also influence on the cell phone, on the radio in some cases, and stuff like that. They just try to make it as simple and as quick as possible. So yes, they do prefer GPS jammers, but we also met GSM one, and I think within next firmware for ADM 333 at least, we will release GSM jamming detection 2. So we'll have two basic functions connected with jamming detection, and maybe, at least I very hope, we will make it in future Bluetooth jammers too, because yes, we also met Bluetooth signal jammers, especially when it is connected with Bluetooth low energy fuel level sensors. Drivers just do not want you to control fuel with with this case. Yes, with by this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question.
Yes. Are these devices you can use to detect GPS jammers? Yes, there are devices that allow you to detect GPS jammers, so-called spectrum analyzers, but they are usually pretty, you know, pretty hard to find them, and they really cost more money. Just this is the problem. This jammer that we show you costs approximately $20 in Russia. Good spectrum analyzer will cost, I think, at least uh, 10 times more, uh, $200, I think. And this is the problem because we always try to develop some solution that will allow you to avoid such kind of problems, and there are such solutions, such equipment, but they just cost more, and this is the issue. Yes.
And well, we mentioned that today our trackers can detect jamming. Yes,
Yeah.
it's really hard to come up with some, some mechanism, simple and reliable, that could fight jammers. Now we can also detect them. But
Yeah.
I also know, and you told me, that there are some other ways in case of jamming. For example, some trackers can find alternative ways to receive, so to understand the
Yes,
location.
exactly.
Yes, maybe we can talk a little bit about this. For example, in ADM 50,
Yeah.
could you tell us some alternative ways to how a GPS tracker can work in case of jamming?
Yes. Our personal tracker ADM 50, as well as in nearest future these two devices, um, able to detect their location via their basic stations, or via the um, cell phone cell stations. Um, how does it work? It's actually pretty simple. Every basic station of the cell phone operator has its own identifiers. They called LAC, cell ID. Uh, yes, LAC and cell ID. These two identifiers, um, in most of time, we met some different cases, but in most of time, uh, are pretty strong. Yes, I think pretty strong, bind to this specific basic station. So we always know where does this basic station located. Uh, we know the latitude, the longitude, and when the tracking device receive the information that it is connected to this basic station, it analyzes through the database. This database may be inside the tracking device, or for example, on the server, like Vylon has its own basic stations, the database, analyze these database, find these identifiers, and just put these specific longitude and latitude coordinates into the blank fields, blank because of there are no GPS connection, no GPS signal, for example. So this method for sure has its own weaknesses, like the precision of such navigation is not really amazing. Yes, the radius of 50 or even 100 meters, this is what we should be aware of. There may be the incorrectness, but when we are talking about do an ability to know where is the specific device at the moment and to know about where it is, but with 50 meters of but with the area of 50 meters, I think the second variant is much more preferable in this case. For tracking individuals with personal tracker ADM50, is ADM50 able to notify about jamming? At the moment, Amadou, we are working under this functionality. It almost the same as in ADM07 and ADM333. I even can tell you why we decided to work under the jamming detection within personal tracker. This happened because of in Russia there are gas companies that give personal trackers to the people that should monitor the infrastructure, like they should walk around these gas stations and check that everything is all right. But they usually do not want to make it, especially in winter when there is -30 and everything is snowy and stuff like that. They just want to avoid their work, and they just put jammers. They cover ADM50 with some metal to make signal weaker, to interfere in it with somehow. And yes, we met this functionality. We met these cases. Sorry, we understood that this functionality is also required in ADM50, and in the firmware that is already in develop process, it will be added. I think maybe in the end of the July, in the start of the August, we'll release it, and jamming also will be in ADM50, jamming detection for sure. Maybe you should also touch on developments in anti-jamming antenna technology for GPS. What motor are you using? Yes, Joshua, I understand your idea, and I found it very good, but when we are talking about anti-jamming, there another problem appears. We for sure may increase the power of transmitter, the power of the receiver, and doesn't matter to be able to go through this interference that is generated by jammers. But the problem is that such strength will lead will lead to malfunction in other dimensions. For example, we know the situation when tracking device installed near um, the car signalization just jammed it. Tracking device just jammed the basic, very basic and very useful anti-theft system. This tracking device was equipped with not anti-jamming function, but was not limited in the strength of the transmitter. So basically, these anti-jamming antennas and stuff like that, it may actually lead to the tachographs, some other data recording equipment malfunctions. This is what we always should be aware of. We always need to think about it, and it makes the whole process of anti-jamming technology developing more problematic. But yes, I really hope that one day we will in the same situation within the webinar when where we will talk to you about the anti-jamming technology in the most direct sense, in the most direct meaning of this words combination. Maybe you have something to add?
Well, actually, no, I don't have. And I see that on YouTube, there are no more questions. And in Zoom, maybe, maybe Patrick, you want to add something, maybe about cases of jamming in your country, or how maybe some solutions that you use to prevent it, or something. How does it work in your country? What you do in case of jamming when you understand that something is happening with, for example, a car, someone wants to stall it, what can you do?
Thank you. Actually, we have some policemen with us, and we have a monitoring room that works 24 hours, over 24 hours. So once they detect any, once they have any bad information, they will just call the police, then they will direct them straight to the point. So for now, this, this is the solution that we have. But as I said, when we began, that was the most serious three problems that we have. The fact that thieves identify quickly the position of the device in the car, and they succeed in disconnecting the device while the vehicle is moving. So actually, we are here to find a solution. Yeah, and I also wanted to ask something. What are the risks? What are the risks of using wireless solution? I've heard you guys spoken about Bluetooth, right?
Yes, Patrick.
Okay, so what are the risks of wireless solution?
Risks of wireless solution. Basically, I think I should start with the pluses of wireless solution. Yes, when we are talking about the wireless relay, ADM 333, actually, the most profitable moment about it is that it is just simpler to install these kind of devices, Bluetooth devices, into the car, because you should not to put wires between your tracking device and the relay. For example, if you make it within the wired solution with wired relay, it will be very easy for thief to find it. If he finds the tracking device, he see wires, he find the relay. Even if you cut, if you already cut the engine, find this relay, remove it, reconnect wires, and he have all the control under the device. When we are talking about wireless device, the first moment is that there are no wires. It's yeah, it's obvious. The second moment is it does not broadcast and transmit any signal, unlike the tracking device. So the spectrum analyzers that I talked about when we discussed about jammers finding process and also tracking devices finding process will be useless in this case, because the relay by itself does not broadcast anything. You cannot detect it this way. And the last one is that this relay is programmable. So even if the tracking device is removed, relay will continue to work and may make the decision about should it turn on or turn off, should it cut engine, or maybe it should not. For example, we install ADM 33 in the truck. In the same truck is installed ADM 333. We set the relay to change its state, for example, to cut the engine. If the signal with controlled, if the signal with ADM 333 is lost. So once the relay does not see ADM 333, it will turn off the engine. But we are afraid of a situation of connection losses. In case of, there will be too many Bluetooth devices in the same moment, or there will be some signal interference. And also, we do not want our truck and our driver to be in danger in case of the relay will lose the signal of controlling device on the speed of, for example, 70 kilometers per hour. So we may set these settings. For example, configure the relay not to cut the engine if there are if the equipment is moving, if the vehicle is moving, or we can make it to cut the engine especially when the vehicle is moving, and do not make it, for instance, when the vehicle is stationary. In this case, we can in some moments replace the car signalization with this immobilizer, with this relay. Sure, there are, as I already said, some risks of connection loss. I think this is the only crucial risk that may appear in this case, but we made already two Bluetooth low energy devices and this wireless immobilizer is the third one. We are pretty experienced in how you should install Bluetooth Low Energy devices to maintain a stable connection, and how you should not install it. So I'm not sure about the number. Maybe you, Milena, may clarify it in some way. But in South Africa, I think already 100 wireless relays are installed in car sharing cars, and they are working fine now. The most of them are 12 volts cars, but as I know, there are some of them are 24 volts cars, and there are no problems. So at the moment, I can see only pluses, um, only advantages. Yes, thank you. Only advantages in this solution, and I think in future we will not find disadvantages.
Okay.
Yes.
And let me read one more question.
Yeah.
In case the track is anti-jamming, well, does jamming affect also Bluetooth sensor or beacons? Like jamming only if you have a sensor connected to track via Bluetooth, or jamming is only affecting GPS signal?
Amadou, jamming may appear in very different areas. It may affect Bluetooth, it may affect GSM, it may affect um, even RFID, like very unusual bands. Yes, everything depends on jammer in this case, and we said about it, and I think we can repeat it one more time. Um, in nearest future, we will add GSM jamming detection, and the next step will be connected with Bluetooth jamming detection. Yes, these cases may be met already right now. At the moment, we see them, we know about them, and we are trying to get rid of them with our with developing new functionality, with developing new ways of how to evade problems like that.
Okay,
Eh,
so we don't have any questions. Please, if you have some, you can answer. Thanks for clarifications. Thank you for being with us, Amadou. So, one more question. Can you fix more than one wireless relay?
Fix more, you mean use more than one wireless relay? Yes, 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 it's possible. You may, for example, install one to cut the engine, install the second one to cut the fuel pump, install the third one to, I don't know, to detect door opening or something like that, and control them one by one. Yeah.
Yeah, please, if you can help me, I have more last one question.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to know, the Bluetooth works between the relay and the device, right? Okay. What about if the connection loses between the two? What will happen?
Okay. In this case, there are different scenarios. We may set the scenario when there nothing will be happen in case of connection loss. The relay will save the last state and walk the same way. until the signal will appear again. The second scenario is connected with some state changing. For instance, if the signal with the controlling devices is lost, ADM immobilizer may change the state if there is no movement, if there is some movement, or change the state in any case just by some timeout that you will set. So we should not be afraid of situations when there is some signal losses for 10 seconds or 20 seconds or even 1 minute. You may set this timeout to, I don't know, 5 minutes. 5 minutes is actually, I think, very good timeout. Still not too big to to lose the vehicle in case of some theft. So after 5 minutes, for example, 5 minutes after this device will be thrown out from the cabin, the immobilizer will change the state and cut the engine, or it may not change it. It fully depends on configuration that you will set. I think we can announce with Elena that the next webinar actually will be fully about this wireless relay, ADM33, about how to set it, how to use it with the tracking device, how to use it with your cell phone, because it may be utilized as standalone solution only with your cell phone and fully without the tracking device. And I think we will be able to tell you and show you even more in the next week.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I would like to know more about the spectrum analyzer, please.
Spectrum analyzer.
Yeah.
This is the, I don't know how to say it, the equipment that detects bands and signals that are presented in this specific area. So, for example, you will be able to see how to tracking device sends the data through the GSM. With this device, you set it to the specific bands. For example, let it be very, very usual 1,850 and 1,900. It's usual megahertz in this case. It's usual 2G band. You set this device to this band and see how the line will just go up and down. And these apex will mark that the tracking device sends the information through the GSM connection at the moment. The very same logic works with jamming detection. You set GPS and GLONASS bands and see what's going on at the moment. If you will see these axes, some chaotic movements here, I think in most cases we can conclude that there is some jamming. I think we can share, we even can share some links with you after the webinar about what spectrum analyzer do we utilize? What or which one may be utilized in your case, Patrick? So yes, I think
Yes,
we'll
we can
contact.
make a post maybe,
Yes,
and
yes,
with
yes.
all the information and post it to our
Okay.
groups.
Okay, okay,
No problem.
Yes.
okay.
So I think.
Yes, I think we can
Nice.
finish now our webinar because we have answered all the questions and I think discussed all the important moments considering jamming. We hope that this webinar was really useful for you. So we are, as always, happy to answer your question later after the webinar in all our social networks. We are always available to help you in every case you want. So thank you, Patrick, very much for being with us and for giving your comments on the situation. So, and for making questions, of course, because I think it was really interesting to hear and to answer these questions. So thank you all. Thank you for being with us. And goodbye. See you soon. See you next week here in our webinar about Reveille. Here are our contacts.
Yes.